Hi guys, Sacred Survival here. If you're new to the channel, drop a like if you like the video. I do stream over on Twitch as well, so if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to click on the link in the description. Watch me on Twitch because I'm going to be streaming a lot of this game when it comes out. Unfortunately, I won't be able to participate in like the stress tests or the beta or anything like that because I am getting it on PC, which I'll talk more about that later. But let's just like watch some gameplay. Let's go over my kind of opinions of the game so far because played a lot of Mortal Kombat 11, a decent amount of Mortal Kombat X, barely any Mortal Kombat 9, and then the last game that I played before that was Mortal Kombat Deception. So I like played it a lot as a kid growing up on the original Xbox, and then I kind of forgot about Mortal Kombat as a franchise for years and years and years because I became like a Call of Duty fanboy. That phase is over now, and I'm back to Mortal Kombat. So I really like the aesthetics and everything of Mortal Kombat X. I really like that sleek kind of design. That it just felt cold and crisp, and I don't know how to describe it other than that. Like it just felt really simplistic, but really nice. And then I played a bunch of Injustice 2 as well, and obviously that was a very different kind of fighting game made by the same people. Felt very superhero-y. Obviously, it's about superheroes. But then I played a lot of Mortal Kombat 11. I think I have like 600 something hours in Mortal Kombat 11 now. And as a Mortal Kombat game, there was a lot of things that I liked and disliked about it. Mainly the thing that I disliked about it, though, was that it kind of just felt like Injustice 2 again. I don't know how to describe it in a better sense than that, but it felt very superhero-y. You know what I mean? Like the meters and how much gloss the blood had it and stuff like that. It lost the sleekness and like the spooky like kind of horror aspect MKX was going for, and kind of went for this more like blown up, like multiversal, superhero-y type Mortal Kombat. So I didn't really vibe with that as much, especially with the crossover characters being like 80s action stars and stuff like that. It just fed into this whole like everyone's wanting being a superhero and stuff like that. And not to mention like Fatal Blow was a big thing that I didn't like, that you could just wake up Fatal Blow and stuff like that. So there's a lot of positives and negatives going into Mortal Kombat 1 that I want to talk about. So let's just watch some gameplay here and kind of go over the things that I like and dislike here. Starting with the good things, obviously. This game looks amazing. Like this game, I thought MK11 looked gorgeous, and I was even saying before any of the trailers dropped or anything like that, that if it looked exactly like MK11, obviously I expected more like character designs and stuff like that, like different character designs. But if it looked graphically exactly how MK11 did, I would be totally fine with that because it looked like a gorgeous game. I still think that MKX looks like a good game. The graphics on that game are definitely a little dated now, but I think that game looked good, and I think it still looks good. I think MK11 still looks great. So the fact that they improved on the graphics at all in this game are like, it's just great because they didn't need to, I think. This stage in particular is just gorgeous. I love the stages of this game already from the few that we've seen. I already think that the stages in this game are better than MK11's. Like, they just are. So that's a highlight of this game. It looks gorgeous. The stages are gorgeous. I think this might be my favorite stage because it does remind me a little bit of Dead Island, especially with that flamingo in the pool and stuff like that, all this blood by the pool. Like, this is a Dead Island stage, dude. I love this stage. Cage Mansion is definitely going to be, so far, the one that I go to the most. It's just a really sick looking stage. Another thing is that, like, I like that they're switching up with the cameo system because, again, like, going from MKX to MK11, you had meter, you had like amplification, stuff like that, and obviously that's still in this game, but that was kind of it in MKX and MK11. You know, use meter to extend combos or make them do more damage. But adding the cameo system on top of that sort of system here just makes it like there's a lot more variation that you can do between characters. So now I imagine it's going to be less like, oh, Kenchi's S tier, Sub-Zero's, you know, B tier or whatever. And it's going to be like, this character's S tier only if you have this cameo. And like together, the pairs of them make like a really good combination. The downside of that, and I'll talk more about this a bit later, is that the cameo system is completely replacing the variation system, which seems like a little bit of a gray area. People might like it, people might not like it, but I know Ed Boon was talking a little bit about getting rid of variations in their entirety anyway, so I kind of expected that. I like the fact that this is kind of a return to form for Mortal Kombat as well. Obviously, it being a reboot, I kind of expected that, but I'm glad, like I said earlier, that it's not just another like superhero-y sort of blown up, like, you know, multiversal thing like that. It feels a lot more just like grounded in what I believe Mortal Kombat is, and I understand that I might not have a great view on what that might be, having only played like the more recent games, but still, this feels like MK9 to me. Like it looks and it feels like MK9 to me, which is great. I love that. I also like that they're not just trying to rehash what they had in the past, because this feels like maybe the best of both worlds between MK9 and MKX. It almost feels like they're ignoring MK11 to an extent, which is pretty interesting, seeing as though it's like a direct sequel but also a new game. So yeah, I just think in general, like, the game looks amazing. I like that it's kind of like a return to form for Mortal Kombat. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be a gory Injustice or something like that. Even I like Mortal Kombat 11 had Joker in there after we just had him in Injustice 2, and I'm like, come on, do we really need this? And then like everyone's trying to be Batman. Scorpion's got Batman lines in there. I'm just like, come on, like, you know, we don't need Mortal Kombat to be DC. You know, these guys are not superheroes. This is a gore fest, okay? Like, let's get dark, let's get dirty. You know, I like that about Mortal Kombat, not like these super accented meters and stuff like that. Like, look how sleek this looks in here. But going into the negatives, though, I will say that the UI, despite how sleek it is and how much I was just complimenting it, I don't know. Something about it feels kind of like a mobile game. I don't know how to describe it other than that. Like, especially the character selection, and like these little icons in the top left and right. Like, I don't know. It doesn't. It's lacking that sleekness a little bit, you know. Even in MK11, when they had like these huge like yellow big meter bars and stuff like that, like I think by adding the player icons to the health bars, like, did we really need that? I don't know. I miss it just like saying the name and the variation and stuff like that. Obviously, we needed some kind of meter for the cameo, so I think I understand it more with like the cameo fighter, but I don't think the main character really needed to be in there. And then again, to touch base on the whole cameo system, I do think it's a net positive. I think it's a really good way to make this game stand out among other Mortal Kombat games. Obviously, they've had like sort of a tag system in the past, but never quite to this extent, because your cameo fighter is like a huge part of who you're bringing in to fight. You know, like I said earlier, the cameo system's completely replacing the variation system, which I can see a lot of people maybe not liking as much, because when someone picks a character, you kind of know how they're going to play that character, right? There's no like different moves that you can bring in to play the character differently. That also means like if there's a character that has some kind of hard move, like for example Kenshi and using his ghost seems like a hard mechanic to learn, right? There's no getting away from that anymore. There's no like there's no other moves that you can equip to learn how to play him besides using his ghost. So it's like when you pick a character now, you know what you're going to get into. It's really that cameo that will come in and change the way how you interact with that fighter, how you play against that person, which I can see a lot of people liking and I can see a lot of people disliking. I think I'm just going into it like open-minded. I don't like or dislike it, I'll say. Really, I'm just waiting to see who all the cameos will be. And then I think I'll be able to form an opinion, because right now we only have like 3 cameos. So I think it's not as cool as what it's going to look like when the game fully releases. Obviously, if you got like freaking Raiden as a cameo, I know Sub-Zero is going to be a cameo. You got like Noob Saibot as like it really depends on who the characters are that can be cameos. I think whether or not it'll feel cool to me, but it's definitely going to be a huge part of this game, and I really like that it adds a way to kind of continue your combos without using meter. So that's pretty interesting as well. The main thing about meter that I'm not really sure of is that from the gameplay that I've seen, it looks like meter's going to take 3 bars and a cameo to use, which honestly, in my opinion, that seems like the wrong choice there. Obviously, anything's better than what we had in MK11 with Breakaway. I do like that Breaker is back to an extent, but having all of your meter be used and a cameo usage, because the cameo is also on a cooldown, seems really punishing. And it's like once you use that Breaker, you have to get all 3 meter back, you have to get the cameo back. Seems pretty punishing to me. But to kind of balance that out, I did notice that the meter isn't just regained on a timer like it was in MK11. It's more like MKX, where getting hit or dealing damage builds that meter, but the cameo is on a cooldown. So it is kind of balanced in a way, but I still think using 3 meters for a Breaker is kind of punishing. Just don't get hit, I guess. Just don't get hit. And then the third and final negative, I actually wasn't counting how many negatives I said, but the last negative that I have is that Fatal Blow's back right here in the gameplay. I don't know, dude. There's something about Fatal Blow. I wish you had to be more interactive with it. I wish you had to combo into it or something like that. Like it wasn't just press a button, here's 35%. There's always something about just the win buttons that I just, I don't necessarily like that Fatal Blow is back kind of exactly the same way that it was before. I think MKX did it pretty well, where I believe you basically had to combo into it. I just think Fatal Blow as a mechanic, it's nice, but it caters to what I was talking about with that superhero feeling. I don't know, having these big explosive cutscenes and stuff like that, and still having the character like get up after it if it doesn't kill them, just feels so, I don't know, weird. Obviously with Mortal Kombat, you have to suspend your disbelief anyways, because people are getting hacked and slashed and getting their bones broken and shit like that anyways. So, but I just don't like at the end of the day that Fatal Blow is just like press. I'm guessing it's going to be left trigger and right trigger again. And it's just like, I don't like that. It's just press it 35%, bam, boom. So yeah. And then moving on to like questions that I have lingering over from all the gameplay that I've been seeing. And obviously this is not all the gameplay that we're going to see. There's going to be more and more revealed. There's going to be some character reveals. I'm pretty sure they're going to talk more in depth about the mechanics. Main question that I have is, I don't necessarily believe that Shang Tsung is going to be the main villain again. I think this is a sentiment that a lot of the fans are thinking as well. It seems like it's weird for him if he was to be the main villain again. Especially considering that in like MK11, right? Like Shao Kahn was the pre-order bonus, and he was definitely an antagonist of MK11, but you had Kronika as the main villain. And so I feel like if they're following that sort of pattern, then Shang Tsung's not going to be like the main villain, especially because he was kind of the main villain of the Aftermath story DLC. So I just don't really know if they're fully letting loose with the story. Like, I think they're trying to keep it under wraps on who the main villain might be. And I hope it's somebody more not as popular as Shang Tsung, because I think it's time for more characters to step into the limelight in Mortal Kombat. You know, we've had our Shang Tsungs, we've had my boy Shao Kahn. I love Shao Kahn. We've had Quan Chi. We've had all these names be villains multiple times. I think it's time for somebody maybe that served a smaller role to step up and form a bigger role, especially in like a reboot. Now is your time. I know people are expecting like Raiko or Havoc, stuff like that, to be the main villains. I would love to see Havoc. Havoc's like one of my favorite characters in Deception. I think seeing him redone would be really cool. Love my zombie boy. So I'm all for it, but that's definitely a big question, because I don't think that Shang Tsung's going to be the main villain, but it's also hard picturing Shang Tsung as being a side villain, because he thinks so big. He's always scheming against everybody. So I just don't know fully what to expect there. Obviously, there's a question of what characters will be returning. Like, for example, I was thinking of, a lot of people are upset that the cyborgs weren't in MK11, even though they were in the story and they're on stages. A lot of people are mad that they weren't in that game. But now, considering that this is a reboot, I don't think they have a good chance of being in this game either, which is really sad, because I really like the cyborgs. I really, really like the cyborgs. And, you know, even if we don't get the cyborgs, I hope we maybe get to see some of their powers return in human form. Like, obviously there's human Smoke and stuff like that. I really hope Smoke is in this game. It would be crazy if they didn't add Smoke to this game, at least as a DLC character. Like, I don't see him not being in this game entirely. But, you know, other characters, other fan favorite characters like Noob Saibot, is this Bihan or is this Kuai Liang? You know, like, I don't know if we can expect like Noob Saibot to even possibly be in the story, or if, like, now that it's a reboot, if those characters can come to the story just by different means. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily Bihan that resurrects as Noob Saibot, or, you know, maybe he dies in this game and comes back as Noob Saibot in the same game, or, you know, he just becomes Noob Saibot in a different way. It really just depends on how different they're making this timeline be, but it honestly seems like, you know, universe has constants and everyone still ends up being themselves somehow. So it wouldn't surprise me if this Sub-Zero is like Bihan and we just don't get Noob Saibot, unfortunately. But yeah, and then as I mentioned earlier, I will be playing this game on PC, and I would love to see more PC support or just love for the PC community, because I don't want to get on any other console, because I don't want to have to plug in my Elgato and everything just to record this game, stream this game. That, and like, I have a PS5, but the PS5 controller is just super bad for fighting games. I don't really like it, and I don't have an Xbox Series X. So I got all the other Mortal Kombats on PC. I'll be getting this one on PC, but I do wonder if there's going to be any like better graphics, like if they're going to possibly push it past 60 FPS on this game. I highly doubt it, but if they do, that would be cool. Just something that sets PC apart from the rest. I do also want to maybe host some PC tournaments, because the tournaments for Mortal Kombat are always on consoles. And I just think it'd be really cool to have some more like specified, maybe smaller tournaments, because I've never freaking ran a tournament before. But I would just love to see some more love and support on PC. The Mortal Kombat ports on PC have not always been great. I don't think MK9 had a really good PC port. MKX, it was dead within like a month on PC, other than like a handful of freaking sweats that will just nuke your ass every time you get into a match. MK11 was kind of a step in the right direction in terms of like PC player base. I'm still finding matches very often on MK11 on PC, especially now after the announcement of MK1. I think we've gone back up into like the 5,000s, the 6,000s on Steam, and it's good to see. And then also, like, Is this game going to be on Switch? I think they said that this game's going to be on Switch, right? I don't know how that's going to run. Like MK11 already looks like shit on the Switch, so I can only imagine what the player base is going to be on there if it does end up being on the Switch. But I just want some more love to PC. It's crazy how everyone's like, oh, PC Master Race, but a lot of games just completely are like, PC, get that shit out of here. We don't really care. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for just my first opinions and everything like that. Sorry, this video is kind of weird. I don't often make YouTube specific content. So this is live streamed right now, that I will be turning into YouTube videos. So if you want to be a part of the live conversation, click the link in the description, follow me on Twitch, because I will be streaming a lot of this, just not the beta. But yeah, when the game fully comes out, we're going to be finding our main. We're going to be playing this game a hell of a lot. So yeah, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. See you guys later.